Welcome to Leadership Unfiltered, the podcast where real leaders get real about what it takes to succeed in today's fast-paced corporate world. I'm Dr. Dayan Douse, founder and president of P.R.I.D.E Consulting, a human behavior and development company serving as an executive coach and facilitator, working with organizations to deliver practical ways to evolve teams, advance organizations, and transform cultures. I hold a PhD in organization and management with over 2 decades of leadership experience in Fortune 500 companies. And I'm best-selling co-author of the book, Nothing But Net. I'm joined by my co-host, Phillip Smith. Phillip is a seasoned technology executive with extensive experience leading large-scale engineering teams and driving digital transformation. Over his 25 years of leadership experience, he has held multiple roles from supervisor to vice president. His personal brand is coder by blood, architect by trade, and leader by choice. Every episode will deliver real-world strategies, unfiltered advice, and the tools you'll need to take your leadership to the next level. Let's get started. All right, today our topic is characteristics of effective leadership. This is always a great topic as I'm dealing and coaching with many leaders across different spectrums, different points in their careers, and really the commonality with all of them is how to be more effective. Mm-hmm. And so often we talk about these characteristics that we've seen shown up in these effective leaders, and thought it would be good to share that with our audience today. Some of the characteristics that show up for me, and a personal one for me, that's one of my own characteristics, is leading with a calm presence.
Yes.
That is core to me. Really what that means is really having that calmness that doesn't bring stress to your team. There's a presence there that your team begins to lean on and rely on, even though the work environment can be stressful, that as a leader, you provide that calm environment that they can then focus, deal with that level of stress in a productive way. And so I think that all is the leader's responsibility in creating that calm environment. And so I try to bring that to my teams, and that is an easy one for me because that's core. It's a personal characteristic of mine that I then transfer into how I lead. I've gotten feedback from my teams that they appreciate that about my leadership style, is that I possess that characteristic naturally, and it helps them, again, even though work can be stressful, it helps them to maintain that stress and still be productive in those situations. So.
Being calm is a great attribute, and it's something that has been elusive for me until recently. I've watched the bar for me has been Tobias Ward. Because she is just steady, unshakable. I've admired that, and I've tried to achieve it. I've made excuses in the past around why I couldn't get there.
Can I give you her tagline? One of her taglines, by the way?
Please, yes.
Grace under fire.
Yes. At 100%.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
And, I've used excuses like, oh, I'm just super passionate about it. Or, that's just how I am.
Ooh, famous words.
Yes. But at the same time, I knew that that was something I needed to work on. That was a me thing. I have been working on it. It really matters because when, as a leader, you lose your cool, the shadow you cast and the ripple effect of that is significant. Now, it takes a lot for me to lose my cool, but there's a difference between containing it, meaning it's there, you're just really, really trying hard to suppress it and not let it out, versus being able to process what's happening as it's happening in a way where you stay centered and calm. While you may not be acting and taking action, your team still knows that either you're calm and truly peaceful about it, or you're not taking action. You're still enraged about what's going on. Your team can tell the difference. What I've learned in terms of finding my calm and finding my grace under fire has been letting go of what I believe the right thing is. Because every single time I have either contained my rage or lost my cool, it's because I strongly feel that what is happening is wrong.
Yeah.
And one of the great lessons that I learned from Lynn Ellen was, and it's one of my principles of leadership, you can be efficient with things, but you have to be effective with people. Mm-hmm. And I couple that with a lesson that I learned from my husband. If you want to be effective with people, you have to let go of being right.
That's good. I like that.
Those two things together, for me, has recently allowed me to go, when something is happening, what do I believe is wrong? I need to possibly let go of. Because there is a time and place for rage and indignation. Yes. They're few and far between. But I needed to check myself to say, what is it that I'm really feeling right now that's causing all of this to come up? Yeah. And is it about this situation? Or am I reliving a past situation? And what is it that I believe that's happening that is wrong that may simply be different? That I may need to let go of my own hard-coded view of the world and be more expansive and see a more holographic view of it. That will allow me to hit my objective, which is to lead. And so calm is such an important attribute of leadership. And it's something that I have worked hard on and have recently made a significant progress towards.
That's excellent. And something I picked up on that you just shared is I don't often get to rage on anything. If I'm at rage, there's a lot going on. And there's a lot we need to watch out for. Never in a corporate setting have I ever been close to rage. That's usually a personal thing that would send me into rage, and that's been very few times in my life. Which is why I believe I'm a good leader and a good coach, is because I often say I can coach anybody, no matter what your circumstance, no matter what you're going through, from a place of peace and calm, which is what I always wanted from my coaches, right? I can't have a coach who's all up in arms when I'm up in arms. We're not doing each other any good if we both in the same place. So I try to stay always coaching from a place of calm, because I want you to get to that place. Because once you're in that place, you can see clearer than where you currently are. And so I'm coaching from there. I try to get you there. Don't mistake my peace for passive. Because I can be peaceful and still be angry, frustrated, and still get my point across in a tone that lets you know that I'm expecting something different as a leader. And I can do that with my children as well. I try to have a peaceful household. When I need to make a point, I can still keep that peace, but I can say it in a tone, or I can grit my teeth a little bit and let you know I'm not playing it, right? I'm not yelling. I'm not enraged. This is all I need to say, but I'm going to say it in a way that gets that point across. And so I just don't want people to think that I'm passive in my calmness, that I can still be assertive, aggressive, I can still make my point and still keep peace and calm. So that's where I try to lead and coach.
One of my perspectives on leadership, and that I'm currently reevaluating, is there's value in being provocable.
Say more about that.
which is if people feel that they can run over you, they will.
Yes.
And drawing that line and that boundary, saying no further. And here is the person you get should you cross that boundary.
Yes.
There's value in being provocable. Like, yep, absolutely. I am reacting to you. Yes. And if you would like a different reaction, you are welcome to change course, behavior, approach. And so one of the reasons why I'm reevaluating that, to be provoked allows you to be disturbed. How do you get the same effect, which is that person clearly understands that what they're doing is not going to work, without you being disturbed? Where I'm at this moment, there's a meme out there, one of how I respond to people in my 20s when I'm disturbed, which is a scene from A Few Good Men, and it's Mission Impossible. What's his name? Tom Cruise. I was going to say Tom Hanks. I'm like, I know that's not right. Tom Cruise yelling in A Few Good Men, which is like when you're in your 20s and something happens, you're yelling. And then there's another one of Cillian Murphy. This is what I'm like in my 50s when something's disturbing. It's just Cillian Murphy making a face like, hey, do what you do.
Yes.
And that meme is like based on kind of where I'm at now. I'm definitely more Cillian Murphy than I was Tom Cruise. Because I used to be Tom Cruise. Like, oh no, this is not right. Let me tell you. And now I'm like, okay, boo. Do what you do.
Yes.
I'll be sitting right here doing me. Yes. So I think there's less value now as I've aged in being provocable. Now, I'm not completely in the camp of the let them. I think there's a lot of value in that perspective, but I'm not a 100% let them either. I do believe that there is a way to communicate to people that they've crossed the boundary without letting yourself be disturbed. Yes. So that you hold on to your calm and you hold on to your peace. And at the same time, they know that you may come this far and no further.
That's good. And so we started off with calm. This episode being around various characteristics.
Yes.
Calm was a good place to start, but there's another one that comes to mind. Effective leadership is all around setting direction.
Yes.
And that is really setting clear expectations so that the team can focus. Not only effective leadership when it's done correctly, because there's oftentimes when you think you're providing direction, it's not very clear, the expectations aren't there, the goal that you're trying to reach is not set, not clearly defined, and so that just creates chaos and confusion, miscommunication. And so effective leadership requires that you set good direction, and without it, again, you create these confusion for your team. Effective part is how do you make sure you're setting good expectations for your teams, good direction. I know when I'm coaching leaders who are struggling with being effective around setting direction, it's always that they feel like they have and that the team isn't following the direction. And so we just kind of walk that backwards a little bit, and we really dig deep into how they're setting direction. And what we get to is often there are signals that they are sending that are nonverbal, that are colliding with the verbal direction that they're setting. We have to then unpack what those nonverbal signals are and make sure everything is in alignment so that you're giving clear direction to your team. So making sure your tone, making sure your physical presence when you're setting these directions are all in alignment with what you are expecting of your team is important. So those are some of the things that I think about when you talk about setting clear direction and being effective as a leader.
It cannot be understated. Setting direction and providing clarity, that is what leaders are there for. They're there to translate the larger piece of the objective into really clear, tangible actions for their part of their team to execute. A therapist tells me a story about her own personal experience before she went into private practice, that she worked at in corporate America. One of her leaders walked in and said, "Hey, we're going to create a strategy. So I want each of you to go off and bring me back your strategy." And she was like, "Shouldn't we get that from you?" And I also have been in a similar situation where the leader looks to the team to provide clarity. That's not how it works. It just doesn't work that way. If you're if you're a leader, and I get if the objective is to invite your team as part of creating and setting the direction, you want them to have buy-in to it, then it's important that you do that in the right way. Which is, you can say, we can decide together how we bring our piece of this to life, but here is what it is we need to accomplish. You must provide the what, and then you can work with them to determine the how.
Yes.
If you go to your team and say, what is it that we should be doing, you have failed miserably in leadership. If you say, clearly, here's the what, let's determine how we do it, then you've got a shot.
Yes.
You've got a shot.
Yes. That's good. I was just coaching a leader, and her core challenge was scalability. I started off with some curious questions around that core challenge. I started asking questions around her setting that clear direction for your team. So you're trying to scale, what's your core challenge? She said the demand and expectations from our key stakeholders and customers continues to rise. My team is only so big. And I said, okay, so what direction are you setting for your team? And she says, we got to figure out a way to essentially work harder. You got to get all this stuff out the door. And I said, so you have a resource constraint? She said, yes. And I said, are more resources coming? Is your team going to get bigger? Are you going to get more money, more funding to support these projects? And she said, no. And I said, ever? And she said, no, I don't think this team is ever going to get any bigger. And I don't think we're ever going to get any more funding. We just have to figure out a way, and the demand is not going away. And I said, and so the direction that you're setting is to work harder? And she says, I'm not sure what else to do. And I said, well, what other things could you think of that might help if you're not getting any more resources? What else could you do besides work harder? I'm going to tell you is not the right answer, but there are other answers. And what we eventually came to is she needed to set a different direction, different set of expectations for that team that focused on the demand and were able to successfully deliver.
Yes.
Which meant she was going to have to work with her stakeholders and customers and prioritize what actually got done and in what order. And that would provide clear direction and action for her team, not work harder and longer. So people were working overtime and weekends and late into the evenings trying to meet this demand. So you're going to burn your team out anyway. So the actions that she was willing to experiment with was having the conversation around priority, being realistic around what she could actually achieve and when, being more agile in her approach, because that do more, faster, work harder was really a waterfall type approach, right? We're going to just deliver something 6 months, 8 months, weeks and days from now, and we'll hope it hits the mark. As opposed to an agile, method would be, let's deliver some small chunks of value
Yes.
in a timely fashion that the team could effectively deliver. She liked that approach. We also talked about automation. Were there pieces of the process, parts of the work that you did that you might automate that would take that work off of the physical labor of your team and put into a system that would help do that same work, that would then allow your team to focus on other valued work? And so those were the things that she was going to try, but that was clear direction that she was now giving her team. Work harder, longer, faster is not direction.
No.
And setting horrible expectations. So that was a successful recent conversation with a leader who was challenged with scaling to meet the demand with the limited resources that she had.
The commitment piece of setting direction is very important.
Yes.
So I appreciate you touching on that, because you should strive to under-promise and over-deliver.
Yes.
You should absolutely strive to do that.
That's right.
Because either A, you'll need that capacity, time, resource, whatever it is, to deliver, because the unforeseen will happen. You'll need that additional space that you are building in to be more strategic,
Yes.
to find those automation opportunities, to say, okay, let's take a step back and look at how we can do this differently. But if you don't give your time and space to do that, you won't have the energy to do the improvement.
Yeah.
And so you have to make good commitments around the what
Yes.
that will allow you to deliver on the how and improve the how.
Yes.
And so that's an equally good part of that part of leadership.
And those are tough conversations, right? Because the customer, those demands are important to them,
Yes.
right? And they're probably critical to the business they're trying to, their business objectives. And so to tell them we can only do so much at a time is a difficult conversation. So you have to be clear with them also what they can expect
Yes.
from you, so that you are all on the same page and that you are not saying no to their demands. This is a yes and when.
Yes.
That is the type of conversation you need to have to set clear direction and expectations, not only for your team, but for your business partners, stakeholders, and customers. The other one, and there are many effective characteristics of leadership, and we're only touching on a few here with the time that we have, and maybe we'll do future episodes around it. But another one, as we were speaking on setting clear direction, came to mind in that conversation, and that is curiosity.
Yes.
Some of my most effective leaders have just asked questions out of pure curiosity. So effective leaders ask questions, and they do that without ego.
Yes.
And they do that not to try to trip you up.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not asking a question that they know the answer to. They're asking out of pure curiosity, one, so that they may learn new information, or they get you to think through a different perspective as they are asking the question. You are providing an answer that might spark an aha for you that says, oh, there is a different perspective I should take on this particular challenge. So effective leaders often stay curious and ask really good questions of their teams, again, without ego, to help them look at things from different angles and perspectives, and that they can come up with, really effective answers to those questions through the questioning process that happens as a result.
One of the things that, as part of that curiosity, is making it safe for others to be curious as well.
That's good.
Facilitating the collaboration and sharing of information regardless of rank or role. One of the things that was very different between the culture at DTE and the culture at National Grid was National Grid got that better. I won't say they got it right, but they got it much better in terms of, regardless of who was in the room, all questions were welcome. that curiosity that says it doesn't matter the messenger, it's about the message. It doesn't matter the questioner, it matters about the question. And that's all being honored. And that's something that comes from the value comes in arriving to the answer. The value is in the answer.
Yes.
Not in who asked the question or who answered the question.
Yes.
The value is in the answer.
Yes.
And so you're able to strip away the ego from it when you say focus on the thing that's valuable, which is the information that comes from getting the question answered.
Yes.
And so from a cultural perspective, because the curiosity piece of this is so married with how healthy your culture is, you do that by, one, making it safe to not know the answer.
Yes.
And two, making sure whoever answers the question isn't penalized for answering it.
Yes.
Which sounds simple, but it's really hard to get right.
And you have to, like you said, it has to be embedded
Yes.
in the culture. It has to be valued in the culture to get it right.
Yeah.
So I love that. Thanks for sharing that. All right, we are at time. So today's episode was around effective characteristics of leadership. And we talked about 3 in particular. Again, there are many effective characteristics, but we talked about curiosity, setting direction, leading with a calm presence. When you can have those characteristics as a leader, your team is better equipped to perform in an environment that's less stressful. They have an environment that allows them to be curious and ask questions, and for the leader to ask questions without ego, and for that team to not be threatened by the questions that are being asked. And when you are faced with challenges, demand is high, pace is fast, that as a leader, you have to make sure it is core critical that you are setting good direction and expectations, both for your team and your stakeholders, business partners, and customers. With that, those are just 3 of the characteristics that we discussed today around effective leadership, and we will discuss more in future episodes. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Leadership Unfiltered. We hope you have found value in our conversation and are ready to take action in your leadership journey. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, share, and leave us a review. And don't forget to connect with us on social media for more leadership insights and resources. Until next time, keep leading with purpose.